Welcome to We Got a Podcast all about Dragon Ball from A to Z, from Earth to Namek to Sadala. We cover it all. My name is Randy.
And I'm Doug.
And I'm so ready to be done talking about it. We're going to have so many good shows coming up that aren't about reviewing Daima. Ken.
He's just spilling his guts right up front, and that's great because we're the world's strongest under the heavens trio de dangers here every other week to talk your ear off about fights, goofs, and everything else in the Dragon Ball cosmos. Doug, I don't know what I'm doing. How are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Things in life are progressing in my journey of house hunting. So yes, I'm as you can see in the video format, I've run out of room for my figures. It's time for me to find somewhere to put them. So yeah, currently looking for a place to go. So yeah.
I love that that's the catalyst.
Yeah.
It really is. I can't walk anywhere. I'm literally sliding through. I need to make a video like me, my daily get ready with me. It's just me sliding through lamps to get through doors and bathrooms and everything. It's ridiculous.
You have a key light in front of your bathroom.
Right there, yeah.
Which I don't need to ask questions.
It is. I have to push it out of the way. Here, I'll show you. I gotta get.
All right. So the listener, Doug, has gotten up. He's like miles away now. He had to literally tip over his key light to walk into his bathroom.
Step over
the
light because it's a tripod. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love my figures.
Well, I'm glad that you're moving up in the world, Doug. Even if you might just be buying a house just for your figures, and you're still going to live there. I
might buy it for me a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, well that's good. You got to treat yourself once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else new? I know that's a big undertaking, but
no, that's been all on my mind for the past few weeks. So yeah, I'm really indulgent about it.
Nice. Well, Ken, how are you doing besides exhausted?
Well, I've still been playing that Majima game. There's so much just great side stuff to dive into. So I'm really taking my sweet time with it. Even though by all measures, it's like a third of the length of a regular Yakuza game, I'm just taking my sweet time. Knocking out all that side stuff going through. I'll probably end up platinuming it for sure. Like I did with Infinite Wealth. I'm catching up on Daredevil. I dropped that show like a hot rock. Is that the phrase? During Defenders, because Defenders was so awful.
Oh,
and then I just never picked up Daredevil Season 3. I'm remedying that. I'm almost done with Daredevil Season 3. So by the time this comes out, I'll be caught up with Born Again on Disney+. But forget all that, because I have also started playing Split Fiction with my friend Charlie, also known as Chuckles825. He was the guy who did the speed run during AGDQ, the Crazy Taxi one with the live backing band. He's a good friend. We're local friends, and so we've been playing Split Fiction together. Though we're still playing it online. It's not like we're actually sitting on the couch together.
But that game sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. If you liked It Takes Two, it is like functionally more of that, but the presentation is through the roof. It's a fantastic game so far.
I'm really excited because I did like It Takes Two. So Split Fiction, not up on my list to play immediately, but
same developers, right?
Yeah. Hazelight.
Nice.
Well, Randy, what have you been doing?
I've been a big nerd. I decided to just start over with a whole bunch of stuff. I reinstalled Windows on this PC. I also installed another hard drive and put Linux on there, and I'm tooling around with that. That's pretty fun.
Why?
Well, it was running kind of poopy, and I was just having some issues. Mainly, Windows hadn't actually updated in 2 years, and it was just telling me, hey, Windows 11 is at end of life. And I'm like, pretty sure Windows 12 hasn't come out, bro. And it goes, oh, no. You need to update because you're still on like the 2022 version. I'm like, oh, okay, well then update like you're supposed to. And it goes, oh, I can't. I keep failing. I'm like, okay. So that, and then I had like an extra hard drive, and I was like, you know what? A lot of people are moving over and doing some Linux stuff. So I think I'm going to give that a try. And that's been pretty fun. I'm not on it right now just because I didn't want to risk it and possibly something can go wrong while recording. That wouldn't be fun at all. But it's cool. It's fun. I'm having a good time. And then last night, I finally did a factory reset on my phone after like 3 years. And let me tell you, everything's running much better now in my life.
Whoa.
Just all of my machines just running at
just got a big cylinders. Refresh.
Yeah, exactly.
Deleted all your pictures, all your videos on your phone. They're all gone. All the memories you had.
Well, cloud storage exists, Douglas. Like I backed everything up and then I just restarted. So like, It's all good. Having to re-sign in to every single app. Like I'm putting in a Sam's Club order, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta install my password manager. I gotta get.
What do you mean Domino's doesn't remember my password? What pizza now?
It's me. Don't you remember me?
Don't you remember me?
Just me shouting at my phone. Just why don't you remember me? Anyway, that's been a good time. And otherwise, Saturday was quite an undertaking, and Ken knows this a little all too well. So, in the lead up to Ken being on the Kanzenshu podcast to talk about Daima completely, he was like, let's rewatch the whole thing. So I joined him, and Saturday morning, 9 a.m., we got together, digitally, obviously, and watched Daima together. I'm just sitting there in my chair, camera pointed over there, and I've got my headset on. Headset lasted all of like the 7 hours we were doing that.
Oh, it was 8 hours.
Yeah, well, true.
Plus.
Counted every second.
I had a great time, We were just kind of chilling and talking about stuff, and I don't know, some opinions may have changed. I know there's one in particular thing. Yeah. Do we want to tell people our new thoughts about a character right now?
Well, let's talk about the experience itself, because Randy, sitting with you for 8.5 hours, or however long it's going to continually grow every time I tell the story, that was fun. We had a lot of great conversations as Daima just comes as like the backdrop of when we were talking. That was great. I was shocked at how fast it went.
Yeah.
And then like later after it was over and the next day, I thought about what we did, and I still can't believe that we did that.
I can't believe y'all did that either.
I could have never done it by myself. I would have dipped out real fast. So, Randy, thank you again for joining me on that.
My pleasure.
It did help me really refresh my memory and bring some surprising insight to the Kanzenshu podcast. Whoa. So that'll probably be out before this one's out.
And I was supposed to join them, but I coincidentally got sick around the same time. So I couldn't. No, I actually did get sick, unfortunately. And I did want to be there, but yeah, I was not feeling it.
Yeah, and we didn't want to make you feel worse.
Yeah, and I feel like it would have made me feel worse.
I really don't recommend doing it. I do, however, recommend... I don't recommend like watching all 20 episodes in one go. But if like you haven't seen Daima or you do want to rewatch it, I really recommend those first 8 episodes. Do try to watch those in one sitting, because it changes the show.
And there was hope. Really? Retrospectively?
We'll get to one thing in a moment here, but the pacing issues that like everyone had just vanish.
Yeah. And I will say we were making it through, and I said, I don't think the plane constantly crashing thing really bothers me. Like, does it really happen all that often? I'm having a good time. I'm not noticing it. I'm not getting annoyed, but maybe it was just all running together as one. I don't know. I had a good time for that first chunk. I would say everything leading up to going into the first demon world, I have a good time. And I would actually recommend getting a friend and sitting down and watching 20 episodes of that show.
Oh my God.
Back to back. No, I liked it. I had a great time. So
between you and I, our experience together as human beings conversing with one another was fantastic.
And I thought the show was very fun up through that point.
I did feel like I was going crazy at the end, though.
I was going to say, are we doing this again this Saturday? I'm not sick anymore.
No.
All right.
Let's do a GT plus Daima banger a whole day, 24-hour marathon.
Doug, you call Jake up and you talk to him about it. We'll see. But yeah, so Randy, we did have another kind of revelation during this rewatch.
I'm excited to find out. I really want to know what happened, how you guys went through this all, and what changed your minds and whatnot.
I think we have to apologize to a fictional character, and then we also need to apologize to a listener. I think that's important.
Marbu?
And who?
Marba?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Marbu. I'm going to say I apologize to you, Glorio. You're actually a pretty good guy, and what? I'm sorry I ever doubted you.
Excuse me?
Yep.
Glorio?
Yeah. Glorio, duh.
Yeah, get the name right.
When you watch the series all in one go... Okay, so let's go back to how we watched it weekly, right? Yeah. Glorio does, like, nothing most of the time. But every now and again, he has a little smile, or he has a little grin, or he's doing that thing where he's tricking the sky, or he's bartering for the sky seed.
Mm-hmm.
And you forget about that on a weekly basis. And so when you do come to the end of the series, you're like, this doesn't feel earned. This doesn't add up. Why are we doing this? Because you've forgotten about all these things along the way because they are so minor and just like glossed over so quickly.
Okay.
So that I can still say as the way that the series was originally released failed Glorio. But when you watch it all in one go, you remember these things and they stick in your mind as you move to the next one and you move to the next one so that by the time you get to the end and Glorio's looking at Goku having all those flashbacks, you just go, yeah, I get the vision here.
What?
I know,
Don't
Doug.
make me want to watch Daima all in one sitting. Why?
I will say, second Demon World, once the rest of the characters, Vegeta, Bulma, and Piccolo show up, that Glorio really does take a back seat, and it's like he hasn't been doing anything, literally anything, for episodes at a time. So it's also hard to, keep everything that you just had and enjoyed with that character still in your mind. But, when you do, I don't know, it changes it, and it really makes it worthwhile, and I like that guy. I'm going to miss him. Not as much as Ku, but...
I no longer despise or think Glorio was a waste of space, but it does bring more to mind that, was this series originally supposed to be out weekly? Because it being out weekly did the show no favors.
Yeah. I wonder how it would have fared if it just all in one go, 20 episodes, here's Daima, enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there was already pretty bad marketing around this series to begin with anyway, so...
Oh, yeah.
Why string it out? Just let it all out at once.
Yep. Yeah, I think it would have done the show a lot more justice to do that, where you could basically set the pacing yourself rather than having to wait every week. And it's okay, if this one dragged, then...
If there was a meeting somewhere where they're like, we have to release this all in one go, and they were like, no, it has to be week by week. And I wonder if someone had the hindsight, not hindsight, what's before hindsight? Whatever. The foresight, yes, to just mean for this to be released all in one go. But it didn't happen for whatever reason.
So I think it's probably a compound thing, right? Toriyama's death probably affected things. And then, I don't know, if I want to get conspiracy theoristy, they probably are not looking at the merch from the show selling as well as Super Stuff did. So they might as well try to get some ad rev on it on Fuji TV.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Super started out with a new transformation, whereas in here, we I guess... No, making them tiny again doesn't really count as a transformation in the sense of new figure merchandise.
I mean, you just you remember those reports of how people in Mexico were watching episode 130 and 131.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there was just never anything like that for this show.
Mm-hmm.
No. Super was a moment in history, and Daima is just it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that this was originally going to be a net anime, and that could also have just been planned to be released on a weekly basis, but maybe it was going to be all in one go, but they're like, okay, well, now that Toriyama's passed, maybe this is a thing to just, let's have it be a bigger celebration more than just here you go, and then that's it. Let's, let it last and let people really kind of dig into it, and then, deal with, Fuji TV and so on and so forth, so who knows, and we'll probably... never know how plans changed over time, but, it is what it is. And I think that now that it's all out, if you have the chance, watch it in bigger chunks or watch it all in one go if you want to be crazy, Doug feverishly shaking his head. But like I said, I also want to apologize and vindicate Willis DeYoung, who had emailed in and said that, how big of a Glorio fan he is and that he's, as a response to Ken. And, you know what, Willis? You're right. Glorio's good, and I hope you're feeling great listening to this. So,
with the major asterisk of how he's presented on a weekly basis doesn't quite add up.
Right.
That's fair. But when you take that character all together, it's good times.
Oh, I'm looking forward to having him dance around with me in Kakarot. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Already in the trailer they've released, he has more emotion in his lines than he ever had. Yeah. So.
Wow. Dang.
Well, because he'll be in all the battles with you, so.
I'm sure that's how that character will redeem himself to most people is by in the video game, because a video game is up to you pacing wise, like how much of the game you'll play chunk wise and whatnot. That's great.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see how that whole thing goes, because I believe part 1 is, what is that, this summer?
They're doing
July
it
through
all?
September, yeah.
They're screwed.
Yeah. Part 1 is that. I'm going to assume it's going to be up through Tamagami number 3. And then part 2 will be Second World and First World, and that'll be that. But we'll see how it goes. I know, it's confusing. The third one was the first one, and the first one is the last one. But 2 is always in the same place, so
Oh my god.
everything's okay there.
It's like the Dragon Ball names all over again.
Right. Well, we've talked enough about watching Daima altogether, and now it's time to talk about Daima one episode at a time.
Wow, okay.
I know.
Enough of Daima. Now on to Daima.
It's the show that never ends, except for it did. And that's what we're going to be talking about, is the end of the show, episode 20. It's the last one, and we can close the book on this show for a bit and dive into something else. But what is Daima? Oh my god. If you've been listening this long and you're like, I still don't know what these guys are talking about.
Then God bless you. You're my favorite person.
It's the newest Dragon Ball anime, and it started in October, and the quote-unquote most Toriyama involvement up to anything so far. And it takes place, just after the Majin Buu fight. Ken, why don't you catch people up on this whole show?
Last time on Dragon Ball Daima, the revolution against King Goma rages on as Goku unleashes Super Saiyan 4. But even so, no power is great enough in the face of the Third Eye's bottomless stamina and health. Taking advantage of the distraction offered by her rival, Arinsu moves to use the Dragon Balls, but our sweet boy Glorio betrays her and returns Goku and the others to their adult forms. After letting Vegeta take a crack at Goma, Goku steps back in to show Goma that Super Saiyan 4 wasn't just a one-off. It all comes down to this. What will be the final fate of this Daima Wonderland?
Yeah!
Bum, bum.
Wonderfully done, Ken. You do so good. And I'm going to miss that.
Can you narrate my funeral? My eulogy?
This bit will continue when we do granola, so...
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Who's that? Who's granola? I'm not hungry.
Wouldn't you like to know? All right, guys. So temperature check. What did we think about this episode? Doug, you just recently watched it for the first time subtitled.
Well, yeah, because I realized I watched it live, and then I'm like, we're about to record. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't know what any of the characters said. Does that matter? You can figure what they're saying out. Yeah, I'll just get my opinion out quickly. Nothing really fancy. Fun to look at. Nothing really there story-wise. Very disappointing ending-wise, and yeah. There's some fun moments. A lot of cool shots.
Oh, yeah. For sure. They like to draw stuff in this show. They sure did.
like to pull all their animators in for one episode to do one good final hurrah, because that's what it deserves, right? Not the entire story to be one great hurrah, just the last episode.
Ken, we've watched it so many times. What did you think about it?
Well, it's an exhausting... By the time you get to where this episode is like 11 out of 10...
Mm-hmm.
I was exhausted because you can only overpower Goma so many times, only for him to just use his third eye and come back before you just start to lose your mind. And so that's where I was at with that point. Yeah, it was great. Sheeta doing the classic Sheeta head shake. All sorts of fun stuff like that. Yeah, I was just, Sheeta's out of control. But, so that's all great. Well, no, that's not great. It's greatly animated, but yeah, it's exhausting. But then, like, once you hit the point where you're past all of that, and then just like the epilogue of everything that's happened, that's all fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. It feels like the first, what is it, like 10 minutes of this episode that's just Goku flying around and punching a dude who's just not going to be defeated from any of this is just like, what are we doing here? Like, okay, you drew it and it looks pretty, but
yeah, it's an excuse to like just have nice animation and make new moves for video games and whatnot. And I feel like a lot of people, and I love that they enjoy it. They just enjoy the series for these fights, but without substance, to me, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a punching bag that Goku is fighting, and it's just like I just wanted more out of my villain. Villains should be more 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. They should have more character. I only see in 2 dimensions. I'm stuck in this box here that we call it.
Well, and I think that's, Randy, should you go ahead and get into the episode description before we go too much further?
Yeah, let's do it. So episode 20, Maximum, or the Japanese title, Zenkai, which,
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Cool. This show's great again.
Just the episode title changes it
Genius.
for you. I love that. So this episode, all in all, here's what happened. Goku and Piccolo enact a plan to take down the seemingly immortal and unstoppable King Goma. Despite the distraction Super Saiyan 4 seems to provide, Piccolo is unable to hit Goma the requisite 3 times, but eventually Ku surprises everyone by removing the third eye and bringing an end to Goma's reign. Majin Ku becomes the new Demon King when the dust settles, and Goku and company make the journey back home, though they make a quick stop on the way in the third demon world to find a surprise hiding on the back shelf.
So, Doug, you mentioned Goma needing more character to him.
Yeah.
I thought the second he lost the third eye, he was back to the Goma that I love and that I've loved this whole series.
You guys have been saying this entire series, and I've always been like a little hesitant and confused. Like, what is there to like about Goma, even regular Goma? I didn't see any appeal. He was the worst parts of Pilaf and Garlic Jr. put together into one. Like, he didn't have a fun personality to me, at least.
I think he's fun against Degasu, and Degasu gets wasted big time. But I just mean that, like, once he's lost the third eye, he's back to being silly gag Goma.
Yeah.
Which I vastly prefer to Jiren.
Yeah, 100%. But even regular Goma was just like a whiny child kind of thing. Like, it wasn't anything new or whatnot.
I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking for him to be a threat? Like, he's just goofy.
Not menacing, but I guess funny or goofy. I don't know. He didn't have poop on a stick or anything. I don't know. I'm not the writer. I just didn't like what we were received.
This is the guy who is sitting at his desk, and as Goku and company are finally coming into the demon world, and everybody's freaking out that the light shield's gone, he's just sitting there in his own world picking his nose. Like, this dude is just, in his own little world.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just funny. And like Ken said, against Degasu, he, plays off characters like that, or like the Rangers. Like, that's great.
This whole episode is just me just like, I don't know what I wanted. It just wasn't this as story goes and character goes.
Okay, that's fair. Like I brought up, the whole Super Saiyan 4 fight, I kind of dislike that Super Saiyan 4 came back just to be like, oh, I can do it again. And also, like, what's the purpose of this? Oh, I'm going to use it to distract him. Why then is it like, we're going to have Piccolo hit him in the back of the head. All right, start the fight. Let me just zoom around and take Goma far away. Like, no, you forgot the plan immediately. Like, bring it back so Piccolo can hit him. And are you telling me in this form you're not fast enough to just zip right behind him and just bum, call it done?
There is a version of this story in where Goma has his death ball. He's about to throw it Super Saiyan 3 Goku on the ground. And instead of Neva intervening, that's when Arinsu uses her chance to summon Porunga. And we just never hit Super Saiyan 4, and then by the time Goku uses it as an adult, it's really of no consequence. They could have reached the same conclusion. All they have to do is distract Goma, and you don't have to shoot a Kamehameha through his chest and then through the world several times to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, you've made a series of cool moments, and I'm glad that we'll have those clips to post in different edits and AMVs and things. Like, that's great.
So you're thinking, hey, that moment was cool, and like this show, I need to give a show another chance. It's like, no, don't.
I think the moment that this episode gets good is Ku grabbing that book and smacking Goma in the back of the head 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the episode starts.
That's when the fight ends and the goodness begins.
And it goes from the like intense action to gag immediately as Glorio steps on the eye, and it makes a little like fun sound effect. Yeah. And it just, and then it was like, from that moment, we got back on the tracks of like, the mission statement all along was trying to be like a Toriyama story.
Yeah.
And that's where it felt like it got back on, and stuff was happening in a way that I would see coming from a Toriyama's mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the entire denouement, like, here we go. This is kind of the meat of the episode, and what I really liked of just everybody talking about like what they're going to do, and like, oh, we got to have a new Demon King, and I guess, Arinsu, and she's like, nah, I'm not interested in that anymore.
Her reasoning is so stupid too. Like, it's such a
Well,
I'm not going to be it because someone else will just overthrow me. Well, because I'm weak in a woman. Come on, in this year, 2025.
well, she's not a fighter.
But
Her
still.
specialties lie elsewhere.
Just because you're a good soldier doesn't mean you're going to be a good king. If Game of Thrones taught us anything, that's just like just because you're strong doesn't mean you're good at ruling people.
Well, she's just worried about someone overpowering her, I think, and then like taking it by force. Whereas if she did the Dragon Balls, then she could kind of finagle that wish to lock herself in forever.
I guess, but when you have power, like levels of power, you should be. I don't know. It's dumb. I don't like it.
I still think it comes down to it. Her wanting it for the reasons that she gave really never should have been her goal. It should have been, she just wanted to do mad science. And
Yeah.
didn't want anyone to get in her way.
And then now that Goma's out of the picture, she's free to do so she doesn't need to be Demon King or whatever. Something like that.
Well, except now she's going to be doing good, evil
Apparently.
Scientist magic, I guess.
Yeah. Only half genocide.
Well, I pointed out to Randy that at the end, no one has collars around their neck anymore. So those are just gone. So Arinsu has abandoned that. And so you have to think that under Ku and all of the other ministers around will keep this new vice demon king in
Anyone
check.
around just got to be minister, which I guess was the funny joke that then when Hybus was like, I want to be one too. It's like, all right, I'm done. Everyone's got their part.
Yeah. Did he end up a minister? I guess maybe we'll never know.
Yeah. The Jar Jar Binks.
I just wish we got to see him go to the hair salon, because that's where he was going before they're like, go pick up his friends in the human world. I'm like, did he go get a new haircut? I need
now
to
he got
know.
his nice hat. He doesn't need the haircut anymore. Like he's got
My joke was going to be, I wanted him to go to the hair salon and come back with hair that just looked exactly like the hat. That would have been good.
A permanent hat.
This is a thing that sticks in my craw, and maybe I just need to forget about it. But the whole Arinsu, like, oh, okay, well, everything's fine, and, we can just move on, and everything's going to be cool. Like, I don't know, you made those collars, and you put them on people. You, I assume, also were the one who made the life juice sucker thing. Like, are we giving that back to people? Like, what, are we just forgiving all of this?
Because I love the idea that you guys had about that when it was like, no, they're going to give that back to the people or whatever, and we just never see those juices ever again.
I think you kind of have to assume that's going to happen.
Right.
I feel like the way...
Device.
Yeah, well, I brought up a lot of the Chekhov's blanks, as I called them on the Konsenchu podcast. And I brought them up at different levels of importance, right? Starting from Kaioshin being worried about the pin that he was going to send to Kibito, and then that being like forgotten about because Hybus was intervening anyways, right? So that's a low level Chekhov's blank, right? Because it ended up not mattering at all. To the high level one of how much time, Doug, if you go back and you rewatch episode 4, where they introduced the fusion bugs, Doug, they spend an unbelievable amount of time talking about these bugs and making a point to show that Goku has purchased some of them.
Oh boy, yeah.
So that's a high level worry about it. But something like this, the life juice or whatever it was, you just have to assume that they're giving all that back, that everyone's got their collars off, shows that there's a sign to make good on their part.
Yeah. I guess what I wish is that they were just implemented into the story. They were good new things to have in the story to counterbalance something, and it just never used it.
Yeah. I don't need to be shown, okay, here's everything that we're going to do, but just like somebody saying like, hey, she was kind of doing some bad stuff. Like, do you have remorse for any of that? Just, I don't know, something.
Just under Goma's orders or something like that, yeah.
Well, that's still not great. Because,
yeah, it's not a blanket excuse you can use.
But it's a perfect kid TV show, pardon, like, oh yeah, he made me, now he's gone, so I'm free to do good now or whatever. In a kid show.
But Dabra did the same thing, because these people have had collars on longer than like the 4 days that Goma has been in charge. Because Pansy explains like, oh no, when you're born, they do this. And I'm like, okay, well, that was a while ago, like 80 years ago. So Dabra would have been in charge.
And technically longer than the shop owner, because she's like at least 100 million years old.
That's true.
Well, I mean, you can get into that later.
One on.
She looks
you can still put one on somebody later. Yeah. I mean, she's got the smooth skin bug, so everything's fine.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
I mean, what else is there to talk about specifically in this episode? It's all right, who's going to be Demon King? And like, let's go back. And then, actually, we've been running low on Senzu. Let's go stop by that shop and go get some more revive bugs on our way back.
I mean, there's some huge lore issues, of course.
I mean,
Here we go, Ken, bring it back.
surprise.
Let's do it, baby. What do you mean?
We were so worried about Neva that we forgot to consider Dende and Goku. And there's a part where Dende, Piccolo, and Neva are talking, right? And then Neva says, or somehow it comes up that some Namekians might come to live in the second demon world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dende says, I'll ask the Namekians who are nomads since they lost their planet. And it's like, these guys are not nomads. As we discussed in our Moro coverage, these guys have been on Namek long enough and have planted adult Agisa trees, or they have grown up into adult Agisa trees. So they have, like, terraformed, Namek formed this planet into their new home. They are no longer nomads.
Right.
I mean, I think that's just the way that this show decided to categorize Namekians who do not live on the Namek home world in the second demon world. It's just, we'll just call them nomads because they're not here at their home. Wherever they are is not the same place.
So everyone but Neva, basically.
Yeah, that's what I can only assume.
But they wouldn't want to leave their home. Like they already made their home. It's like, it's just the way to make it so that Neva's not alone anymore. But they didn't really think too far into it. Like, why would they leave their home for some random empty place?
It's another thing where, Randy, maybe you're right about the intent of that line, and you probably are, but it's another one of those things where it just should have been worded differently. Like from episode 1, the wish to make everyone consider Boo a good guy again, or make it was considered that Boo was a good guy, when the wish was just like to forget about all of that stuff. And so they're like trying to be clever in a way that just kind of makes things a little frustrating for me, right? As someone like, I bathe in lore, baby, you know?
Yeah.
That it's really frustrating for me.
It adds 10 years to you. It's like the opposite of that bug.
Yeah, the lore bug. Don't eat it. It's not going to be good. And then there's the issue of Goku training so hard that he obtained a form with a tail. And nobody knew it.
So this is kind of similar to Super Saiyan 3 in that it's just gained off screen, and he talks about like, I just got it from training in the other world. So like, yeah, nobody knew about it because you were in a different plane of existence. But there's been times, Ken's got his finger up, so...
This is an issue with the original series, where when Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 on Earth against Boo, they can feel it in the Kaioshin realm.
Yeah, that's true. But they're probably more attuned to his ki and things like that. They know about it.
Yeah, they might have been keeping an eye on Earth at that time anyways. So.
Okay.
Right. But the other thing is that Goku also exhibits that he gained other forms when they were in the Room of Spirit and Time. Same thing for Trunks. Like, Trunks is training with Vegeta in just like one place, and then Trunks is like, I got this new form. My dad doesn't know about it. Like, well, if you transformed into it, he would know. But it's like, you can kind of be like, okay, now I know how to do that. Like, I figured it out, but I'm not going to actually do it.
Right.
So it's probably same thing for that. Same thing for Vegeta achieving Super Saiyan 3. Just didn't do it. So people were like, huh? What? What's he doing with that? So
there's a moment in... Randy, I think we talked about this when we were going crazy watching Daima in one sitting, is that there's a panel in the manga where Goku is like meditating on a rock, and then he like opens his eyes and he says Yosh. And to me, I have like always read it as that was the moment he figured out Super Saiyan 3. And so that I like the idea that there are these forms of Super Saiyan that you can just figure out, be like, okay, I know the way I have to solve this Rubik's Cube without having to actually do it.
Yeah.
Because we know Vegeta knew that he could go grade 3, but never did.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I like the fact, maybe like Goku's like, I need a tail for this to work. Sucks I don't have that, but that would tap into this power that I feel inside or something like that. And that's probably what Neva just did. Neva just gave him a tail.
Yeah.
So
GT.
I can just kind of pull some stuff that AJ was talking about from the Kanzenshu podcast, is that when Neva originally gives Goku Super Saiyan 4, in the storyboard, it really is more so he is actually giving it to him. And it's more of a point to show that like his magic is like, I forget exactly how AJ phrased it, but like his magic is being imbued specifically with Ozaru power. and that there's like they show an Ozaru on the screen, and so it's supposed to be much more of this. And so my theory is that the whole thing of Goku saying that he just trained so hard he obtained Super Saiyan 4 was like a last minute thing, because AJ was also saying that there were, and this I was really shocking and kind of damning in a way to me at least, a lot of Daima was being sent back to Shueisha and Toei for review, and they would say, we like this or we don't like this, and they would have notes. So you get, you hear all the stuff about when an MCU movie goes through all of these reshoots, you just know what that means for the quality of the product. And I think that is only to Daima's detriment, and possibly could have been why we end up with this pretty frustrating line from Goku at the end, I think.
Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, because it was such a vague looking thing that never did to him that it could have meant anything. And I'm sure the original like had a more. I wish it was more of like a demon form type thing. Like, you're in the demon world, and I can tap into that for you. But they never do that at all. It's just something that Goku has been working on. I
have had my complaints about Yuko Kakihara over what feels like years now. I understand her missing Kaioshin's line about since man was learning to walk upright. Okay. But the very idea of Goku doing this is like, why?
See, I was very invested in the story of Daima and wanting and hoping that, things are going to develop and go into such a way that would have felt rewarding and like, okay, we do understand what we're doing here. And a lot of those early episodes where I had talked about like, I just want to let him cook and I want to see what a finished product is like, I was like, okay, there's still hope here. But once we got to that first demon world, that hope started to go away.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, they're really not doing that. And I was really kind of holding out like, okay, we're going to wrap all this up and we're going to just like drop a couple little things that kind of make everything work. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wanted this to work in the same continuity as Super. And now seeing, it was the line of like, oh, I just trained and I figured it out, but I didn't think it would actually work against Goma or whatever. Then I was like, oh, okay, this has no desire to do that or to try to fit in with anything. And it's its own thing. And I just need to stop caring because the show didn't care enough to want to link into anything. And it just wants to be its own thing. And if that's all it wanted to be, cool. But it took me this long to be like, fine, I give up.
I'm excited to see how Toyotaro can do it. If anyone can. Toyotaro can.
There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot you have to do. But, no, he could.
Or ignore it. The most thing you could do if specifically you wanted to bring up Super Saiyan 4, if somehow in the Super manga something like this comes up and he's just kind of like, oh, I've always felt like there was something more in the depths of the abilities that science could achieve, and then just have like a silhouetted drawing of Daima Super Saiyan 4.
I guess for me, I never cared about the canonicity of it all and like, oh my God, is actual real or whatever official. I just think of it in a sense that like, oh, it'd be cool to see that in another series and something else like that. Super Saiyan 4 was cool. So if they can make it work into somehow being in Dragon Ball Super, a sequel or whatever, then that'd be like an oh cool moment. But that's really it to me. I don't really care about it being canon or not.
That's fair. I did, and now I just need to stop doing that because it doesn't matter.
One of the things I thought was so interesting about watching the whole series with you, Randy, is that by the end of it, I felt like we mind melded. And I think you and I have pretty identical feelings about the show now. Obviously, there are things that I'm much more laser focused about,
of course,
than 99.9% of people. But it really watching the show and talking through it with you, I feel like we kind of wound up on the same page with it. Both being shocked by Glorio, both being shocked by the pacing just melting away.
I feel like I missed this bond now that you guys are going to share forever.
I think we said something like that,
We said Doug is going to be so confused when we show up and we're like, oh, Glorio, it's so great. And he's going to be like, what happened?
How
but then
in
also that, we went through a crucible together and that has definitely resulted in something. I don't know what, but it's in something. What else is there to talk about besides the whole wrap up at the end? Is there anything else in that whole moment of like, Do or Ku finding out that like, oh, I get to be Demon King or whatever?
I need that SH figure arts of him with the cape. I know we got pictures of him being released, but not with the cape. It better come with a cape, or at least an accessory. Yeah.
Coming with a cape and extra head for Do.
Yeah. I hope I don't have to buy. I'm gonna buy, but Garlic Jr. Goma, and then he comes with a cape for. I hate when they do that a lot. When this accessory for a different character, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm buying them all anyway, Bandai. So don't worry.
We get to the stuff where like Pansy is making Vegeta wave as they're going off, and that's just crazy cute.
That.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole
the fact that his whole body is moving too because of it. Like instead of just his hand moving, yeah.
Yeah, the whole wrap up of this episode, everything once you hit the Eyecatch moment, I guess the commercial break, the second commercial break of the episode. Once you hit that, then it's smooth sailing from there, and it's like, oh, this bops, or what do the kids say? This smacks, slaps.
You're right. Yeah, no cap. So
ass, Randy.
I love. I hate that, Randy. Whatever. I love so much in the entire Dragon Ball Cosmos D transformations, like going from 3 or 1 to base form. I'm sad we didn't get that again here. It just cut to commercial, then we're back, and then Goku's back to his regular. But yeah, because I love it. So
Where
much.
did his tail go? I'm afraid to ask.
That's probably why they got rid of it. It just someone caught it off backstage.
Give me a really great animated moment by Sheeta of Goku walking over to get the pieces, like his shirt and his belt that he threw to the ground before. Be like, I got to put these back on. Okay. No, don't do that. I mean, it's the same thing like with the whole tail thing. When they were wished to be kids, why didn't Goku just have his tail then? And that could have been like, oh, well, I mean, I just got it because I'm a kid, but then it could play into 4 and stuff later. But we didn't do that.
Started again.
But even then, in GT, when Vegeta could go Super Saiyan 4, when he went back to base form, he lost his tail and also lost the fingers on his gloves, as people well know. But that had the side benefit of we were involving like the whatever that Brutes Waves amplifier was being used on him and everything. So
yeah,
that all added up. And so that was like, anyways, whatever. There was a narrative reason you could kind of work around for that. There's just nothing here.
No.
And
I so wish, again, like I hate that there's no point of them being kids or in the demon realm that doesn't affect them at all, really. Like, how cool would it have been with this final Kamehameha that Goku does if that's the first time he ever actually did the move in this entire series? Like, he's unable to do it as a kid, or the demon realm blocks that because you're underage or you can't use magic for whatever reason, and then like, I'm an adult now, I can finally use my signature move, and then boom, like that would have been such a cool moment. But instead it's just like, okay, he's using the Kamehameha, we've seen that. I mean, granted, not that huge, but
there's also like minor math stuff about like how hot the first demon world was. Like, oh yeah, Bulma should have like died immediately.
Oh yeah,
but
just nothing about the demon world was special. Didn't do anything. All the talk about magic and no one has magic. Goma's abilities, he got his staff. He brought out his staff. Like, oh, you get to see some cool shit. No, it's just a bunch of energy beams that are purple now and getting kind of home. That's really
video game stuff. I'm guarantee you that's going to be in Kakarot.
Yeah, I mean, and then I started thinking about that, and I'm like, okay, what's the difference between this and the superhero Broly movie? Like, it really is another like fight big guy who's screaming and no personality. But I enjoyed superhero Broly a lot more than this. So I don't know.
That's because in Broly, every step along the way, like we've talked about this before, there's a progression to the fight. Thing happens, which causes thing happen, which causes thing to happen. And we just don't get this in Goma. Yeah. Like I said, you could just move Arinsu, making the Potara wish up. And there's a version of this where Super Saiyan 4 just doesn't have to happen.
Porunga wish, I would assume.
What did I say?
Potara. So I was like,
fusion. I meant Potara. She's making a Potara wish, Randy. A fusion wish for those bugs.
My mistake. I didn't mean to...
No.
So
you want to get into the epilogue here?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, it's pretty fun. There's a lot of really good Bulma moments in it, and I just like
the character animation is so peak.
It blew my mind. Incredible. I was like, oh, am I watching a movie now? What is this? It's crazy.
Right.
I forget the animator's name, but it's a guy who I don't think has ever worked on Dragon Ball before, and he did the final scene of Mob Psycho as well, where he just came in, did the final scene, and left. And that's what he did here as well.
Wow. Yeah. I wish it was the whole series, but that must be too demanding to ask for.
I would think so. But it is stunning just to watch. And it's like, this thing, which doesn't really matter. It's just kind of like, oh, here's a little fun thing and like a stinger of a joke of the third eye. Like there's more of them, and they're just a thing you can buy in a store.
They're on a bargain sale.
Yeah, because they've been in stock forever. Sold one in 10,000 years. Who knows how much time it's been?
It must be super expensive. No one wants to buy it, and no one wants to steal it either.
Ken is just sitting on that of
100 million years. Kaio's planet. Remember, what was it? King Enma, he went to Kaio's planet like 100 million years ago or something like that, which means the outside world had to exist 100 million years ago, which means that the great demon kings had these things for 100 million years.
Ken, you're trying to tie this in to the logic of the original series. You just got to rechange all of the numbers for this show, where now it's only in thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands for some things.
Yeah, remember, I'm not talking guidebook stuff here with this.
No.
That's from the series proper.
Oh, no.
But Yuko Kakihara
she's on notice.
Yeah. She's doing her own thing. And that
character
takes balls.
work impeccable.
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe it wasn't her fault. Maybe it was all, Toei.
The meddling.
Yeah, it's being like, here's our notes. Make it worse. I don't know. We'll never know. But, that end is it's just fun. It's funny. It's gorgeous. And that's the end. That's the end of Daima. I think there are some people who are confused, like, does this mean we got to deal with these and there's going to be a season 2 because we haven't left the demon world? Like, no, they just stopped, and that's a funny joke.
It's just a joke, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is.
Just like the other things in this series that are just like, shouldn't that be a bigger deal? No, it's just kind of, we didn't think about it too much. We just said that line. Katatsu.
Exactly. So, Ken, I know that you just did a whole podcast where you talked about the whole thing, with Daima in the rear view. Overall thoughts on the show. If you had to summarize your feelings, what would you say? Doug, do you want to start us off?
I mean, especially after the marathon view, I'm curious to see what you guys think about it now. For me, I guess it just lands on disappointing. Much more potential was there than was done with it. I was ready for a Wonderland, and I just got like fan service Dragon Ball, which is cool too. I just wish I was in that mindset ahead of time. I could have like adjusted my whole how I'm gonna enjoy the series, but from from that to this, there could have been so much more, and Dragon Ball deserves so much more. I'm happy with the people that enjoyed it, and I hope I don't take any enjoyment out of it. I'm just being picky, and like that doesn't negate the show, and I'm going to use it for the beautiful art and whatnot for AMVs maybe in the future. But I want to say I'm glad it exists, so I'll say it. I'm glad it exists.
There you go. I think it's a good way to put it. Ken, what are your thoughts?
It was a thing that happened. I think for me and what I'm into, it's just criminally uninteresting because it like goes out of its way to say that it can't really fit anywhere insofar as even pushing up against the original series. So for me, Daima is something that I'm going to shelve. I'm not really going to think about it too much. The most interesting stuff in modern Dragon Ball to me is what Toyotaro was doing up to a point. And I would just like to see him continue that again. I will play the Daima DLC for Kakarot. I do expect to actually love it. Because I love that game, and I now have a new fondness for the stuff that DLC will cover. So I think that'll be really good. But for me, I don't think I'll ever rewatch Daima. I'll just put it on a shelf, and I'm sure it'll come up in conversations we have over the however long we continue doing this show, hopefully years. But no, I'm done with it.
You put in your time for that.
Yeah,
it's like the special in between, like us, Goku and Friends Return, where it's like in the universe where they're like, it just happened to be during a time where people just forgot all about it.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the same thing.
I do like that it does have so many contradictions because I love pointing those out and like flexing my like, deep encyclopedic knowledge about things.
In that room when they're making the series, they'd be like, no, that conflicts with this, so fix that. I would love for you to be a minister of the Dragon Ball.
I've liked that they've had it around just for me to brag about stuff like that. But, other than that, buddy. No, yeah. Randy, what about you?
I also think that it's kind of a thing that happened, and I'm glad that it existed. It overall, even though I felt kind of let down by a lot of things, I think there's a lot of stuff that was good and fun, especially after rewatching it and looking at it with expectations of where it's going to go and just kind of enjoying what's there or picking apart what's not great. I think overall it's a letdown because it was very clear, like production wise, we were firing on all cylinders where the animation is great. That's all top notch. We got, Nakatsuru back doing character designs. Love that. But then it felt like everybody else phoned in their job where we got some good character interaction moments. That's good. I mean, those things are kind of despite everything else that Daima had going on. But yeah, it's just kind of like it was pretty and we introduced some neat concepts, but we fumbled it over and over and over again. And I'm going to have some new figures on a shelf because of this show. And that's
because I'm a whore for Dragon Ball figures. That's the only reason.
It's true. And I'm going to be looking forward to character DLC in Sparking Zero when that drops. I think we're supposed to be getting something this month with some Daima stuff. So count me excited for that. And I'll probably revisit this. Thinking about it as its own thing, it's kind of just like one of those older Z movies, but we extended it out into 20 episodes. And we're going to drop some lore, but it doesn't really matter, weirdly, to the series over, like, Dragon Ball as a whole, and also to Daima. Like, the whole Rimus Limus thing, what did that do for anything in this show other than explain why Kaioshin left home, I guess, because he was going to leave anyway. It was fumbled, and it bums me out. But
yeah, especially because this is like something I specifically asked before Daima was announced. This is something like I asked for personally. I'm like, I want something more fun in Dragon Ball. Like, would it be cool to like have a slice of life with like maybe like kids or whatever? And then it happened, and it's like, oh, it's this. I have to like be embarrassed to my peers. Like, that's what I asked for, but that's not what I really wanted. Please believe me, like kind of thing.
It's a monkey's paw thing.
Exactly. That was what I was literally about to say. It was a monkey's
mind melded, Ken.
Dang it, that bond.
We're one and the same. Well, Doug, be glad that you weren't here for that, because otherwise this wouldn't be a podcast. We would just sit here and just stare in the camera and be like, agreed. Yeah. And then we would just turn off.
I want to see like a shot of you guys, hour 1 of Daima, and then the hour 12 of Daima watching.
I had said after we started, I was like, I kind of wanted to have Craig on just to record everything. Craig is the bot that we use to record our backup audio. It's not just another guy that you've never heard of before. I was like, I kind of wanted to do that, but I'm never going to listen to 8 hours of us just sitting there watching a show, so I didn't.
To put her on like 4 times speed and just listen for like the highlights that you remember.
Right, exactly.
Clip that out.
Cut out.
Real.
Truncate silence, and then it's just like an hour and a half of us just being like, hey, you know what? Pansy never did anything with her magic. That's weird. What other characters are we're like, everybody here has magic. Okay, here's a list of everybody who doesn't do anything. It's just, come on, guys. So
I hate to just regurgitate stuff I said on Kansenshuu, but
that's okay. I can assume that there is a subset of people who listen to our show and don't listen to Kansenshuu, which, like, you're making a mistake as a human being. You should really go listen to that show. Not just that episode, but the podcast in general. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Kansenshuu. Turned out.
We all appeared on the Kansenshuu podcast before this podcast even started.
Yeah, before we even got together. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
So,
it's
I think
destiny.
When they announced this show, there was that obnoxious guy who was live streaming it because Toei didn't want us to see it online. And so we were all watching his thing. He was literally our only option. And he kept saying, nobody asked for this. And that's really stuck with me the whole series.
That will live on forever.
And I don't think that by the end of the show, I felt like it justified doing this instead of just doing what seemed like the natural option, which would have been to just continue Super.
Yeah.
And so that's really how I feel about it at the end, is I don't think Daima ever justified its existence.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just a thing that happened. And to me, like, everyone's worried about like canon these days, right?
Yeah.
It's a stupid thing to worry about. But even in my own mind, like, this is not something I'm going to think about. This is not canon to the neurons firing in my brain. This is just a thing it's a side story. It's going over here.
Yeah, and if they ever do continue Super with a sequel, like, I'm sure they won't even think about this either. So what does it matter to you what canon is if like...
I would not be surprised if they just say screw it and Ku-in-Du or someone shows up in Super. And
Absolutely.
You know what? I'm okay with that at this point.
Me too.
Like, just do it.
That's what I'm saying is I would love that. Like, I don't care what how stuff makes sense in the story. They don't either, so...
I can reason out in my mind a version of Daima that could fit with Super, where all the like lore frustrations I've had, there are ways to like write around them and just further explain how stuff could have happened in a certain order.
Yeah.
And I could just be like, okay, a version of Daima happened, and here are Ku-in-Du, and God bless him for it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just because they show up or something else gets mentioned elsewhere doesn't necessarily mean it's like, oh, this is all completely tied in 100%. Like, could have been a version of it.
I mean,
or
that's what they did with Gowasu, isn't it? Is that his name? That they had in the...
Yeah. That was not Super's Gowasu. That was just... We know the multiverse existed in Daima, and so it's just showing you, like, hey, Daima has a Gowasu as well. And it's also just visual shorthand. Because know these guys. People took that like crazy. People locked in on that as like, this being like no matter what means that this is super related. And it's just, guys, it's just not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, can we talk about something different? Just I love Goku's naming schemes again for his forms. Like, it just, people locked into like, see, he called it Super Saiyan 4. That means it's Super Saiyan 4. It's like, no, that's just the next thing after 3, the number 3. Goku just named this 4. It doesn't really mean, because even Vegeta was like, that wasn't Super Saiyan 3. That was Ultra Vegeta, Vegeta grade 1 or whatever. It's like, these guys aren't naming these like official names or anything. That's just Goku's way of not really...
I like that Vegeta says it's Ultra Vegeta 1, implying that there are future levels of Ultra Vegeta.
He's going to keep pushing, and he's going to unlock Super Saiyan 4, and that's going to be Ultra Vegeta 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so then he'll be standing there when there's the next big bad, and Goku will transform like, he's turned Ultra Vegeta 2.
I bet because he's already mad that, like, he tried to make his Super Saiyan 3 different than Goku's by having his hair shoot up instead of, like, flow down like bananas. So like it's like, no, it's its own thing. But like now Goku's got him with this monkey form. It's like, damn it, if I unlock that form, it's unmistakably a monkey form that I obviously copied from him or whatever. Like I bet that gets under his skin.
And Goku named all of the forms before, so why can't he just name this one 4? Because we didn't have a name for 2 really until he said it for Boo, and then he's like, and also then this is to go further, and then he says this is Super Saiyan 3. So
yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's just a thing that they
works
do.
with 3 forms. When you get into like a 4 form, then it doesn't really work as well. But like it's like, this is just I'll just call this one 2 because this one is one step past that. It's great. Toriyama, man.
All right. So is that it? Do we want to take our break, or you guys got anything else you want to quick throw up before we move forward?
I think we're almost about 20 minutes at the 20-minute timer, so I think now's a good time to probably go ahead and break.
I'm going to watch the 20 episodes of Daima real quick, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
And then
Cool.
All right.
We'll catch up with you in just a sec, Doug.
Great.
Hello and welcome back to more We Got a Podcast. You're here. We're here. I got distracted. These guys are holding up some cool figures.
Come on, buddy.
And I'm here. It's just that I got really excited seeing that big plush Cyberman that you've got there, Doug. Just making me think about Ku, best boy.
Love it.
He's so great. I love him. But we've come back from our break, and usually that means that we get to hear what you guys had to say about stuff. And Ken, as always, put out the Skeet over on Blue Sky, asking, how does it stack up against the finales for other shows for Dragon Ball? And, some people followed that, some people didn't, and that's great. I encourage people to follow their hearts, and I think that's good. So, Ken, why don't you take this first one from Cage?
Yeah, Cage writes in and says, I've avoided writing into the show for the entirety of the series simply because I've had very little to say about Daima. This remains true. I really just can't think of anything to say about it, and I'm having a very hard time thinking about it critically. I think I had fun with it, at least, LOL.
And I think that's totally fair. If you, I honestly can't think of anything to say. I felt the same way, and yet I did, 11 episodes talking about this that are all an hour and a half plus. I don't know. It happened, and, it was entertaining from time to time.
Yes.
If you say so.
Alrighty. So I'll take this next one from Final Forum podcast. First half, Z, sleeping sounds. Second half, LOL, this is what I came here for. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. You know what? I'm reverse after doing that whole watch. Everything up through like at least episode 8, if you want to put a little bit further into like episode 13. Yeah, I liked all this. Everything after that, I'm like, oh, what are we doing here, guys? This isn't great. I'm not liking this.
I think they're talking about just this episode.
Oh,
that's
you're right.
That's a
the finale.
complete switch then, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally the same. First half, this fight, boring. Everything in the second half, that's good. I like that. So I'm right there with you, and I'm sorry that I misconstrued. I'm very tired after watching 20 episodes of the show. My brain is fried.
I'm the same though with the thought process of like when I see a fight scene that doesn't really have much going for it besides look how cool this fight is, I like glaze out and just like oh, what happened? What's Goku doing?
Yeah.
Did he hug him and now the rocks are around him so he's not hugging him anymore? Okay.
And you feel bad because you know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this beautiful animation that you are just checked out of.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I like to try to listen to Totally Not Mark's Totally Not a Podcast about Dragon Ball Daima, but I only listen to the episodes after we've recorded ours. So I finally get to listen to episode 20 tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. But when I was listening to, gosh, what was it, 18 or 19, when I believe Tyson on that show had brought up that Goku is beating Goma just fine as Super Saiyan 3, and then he transformed to Super Saiyan 4, and literally nothing changed. Like, what was the point of this form? It doesn't show us the strength of the form, and it doesn't do anything for the story. What's the purpose? Like, they were beating him. It's just that he's going to keep rejuvenating. And then the same thing happens with 4. So, yeah, you're looking at all this beautiful animation, but it's like, what's the purpose? Like, we're not doing anything with this. It's just...
It's as if Gohan went Super Saiyan 2 against Garlic Jr., it's like, that's not the issue. He's immortal. Put him in the dead zone.
Right. Not going to do anything here. Ugh. It's just how it is. Ken, take this next one from Kylone.
Yeah, they write in and say, it's actually hard for me to compare this finale to the others because Daima's much shorter length makes the final episode have a pretty different kind of weight. I guess overall, I'd probably put it below End of Z, below 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, but above the wedding dress arc ending. Yeah, that's a kicker. Maybe on a similar tier to Super's finale and above GT, the ending of which I was personally not too fond of, and I don't think we were either. There's stuff in Daima's finale that feels a bit, quote, too little too late, but ultimately the fun, positive energy at the end just makes me happy regardless.
Yeah. It's so great to see them all like, let's all talk and be fun characters again.
Yeah. The second half saved it.
When I think back on this show, I probably will think a lot about the final 10 minutes of Dragon Ball Daima because it was just so good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who saved it?
Yeah. I'm glad that they did justice for Ku right off the bat. Or we didn't have to beg for more for that. So Jake, J Lunar S says, great finale, if not a bit rushed for my taste. I tend to really love drawn out epilogues. Wanted to see the group return home and settle back in since we may not see them again for a long time. Honestly, a bittersweet montage would have been far more fitting here than in GT. A quick recap on what Gohan and Videl were doing the whole time as kids could have been a great gag too. My ranking. Sorry, I just don't care about battles featuring a lot of punching with no substance, even if the post-credits bit was incredible. So we've got Z, then GT, then Dragon Ball episode 148. We're not doing the wedding dress arc. Super, then Daima, and then Dragon Ball episode 153, which is the wedding dress arc. So
we're cheating. We have to include the wedding dress arc.
And you know what? I don't remember.
It has its fans.
I don't remember all the individual parts of it, but I do like that Goku and Chi-Chi got to go out and have an adventure. So I kind of want to rewatch
because you don't get that in hindsight. You don't get that again,
no,
or at all ever after that. She's just she's a strict mom mode immediately.
Exactly. Ken, want to take this next one?
Yeah, Omega Rockman writes in again. It's been a while. I think I like the other endings more, other than Heroes, if you count that, and maybe Super's, but that's only because Super never really ended per se. But that's not a bad thing either. The lower key story Daima is trying to tell doesn't really call for a grand or poignant finale. My biggest issue with it is failing to commit to whether it ties into Super or not. Ignoring that, Daima Super Saiyan 4 lacking the narrative/thematic weight GT's had is worsened by Goku just training real hard for it. Also, forgetting about the merge bugs, not even mentioning them as a joke, feels sloppy. On a more positive note, Ku getting the win and becoming Demon King is utterly fantastic. The Kamehameha breaking through and connecting the demon worlds is an all-time awesomely hype moment. And the after-credits scene ended on the perfect Toriyama joke. So much to love here. Overall, Daima as a whole has good ideas, but it's severely undercooked in the writing department. I can't help but echo the common feels like a first draft criticism. It's a shame since every other part of the production is firing on all cylinders, but if nothing else, it ended on a solid note. So a couple things here about it being undercooked and sloppy. I guess think of the Muppets, the Swedish Chef. That's how they made Daima.
Can you elaborate more?
Just, like when he's doing so, his hands are just flying around everywhere. And who knows if he's cooking that Swedish fish he's making over there? You never know.
Yeah, that's
eating
Daima.
some raw fish.
My phone decided to answer the question about elaborating more. So that's fun.
Amazing.
But you know what? I restarted it. It's forgotten all of its manners, so please forgive it.
Great. The Kamehameha breaking into the demon realms were like all three of them was such a good idea that could have been, I don't know, a bigger moment, I guess. But besides it looking cool and looking amazing, like it was a very come together moment. But instead, it's just like one shot of like, hey, everyone's together, crossing borders or whatever.
Right. And how does gravity work in that third world? Because the water is falling out right from the hole and going down that way. But I'm like, but if it's
it's a wonderland, Randy. It's a wonderland.
It should be falling towards them because they're whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a cartoon for children. So I'll take this one here from GGF. Full name TBD says, maybe my expectations were lowered by the rest of the series, but I liked it. Well, the second half anyways. The first just kind of continues the beautifully animated slog the Goma fight has been. But Ku getting the win is great, and him becoming king and deputizing everyone is very fun. Even if Super Saiyan 4 failed to do anything to Goma twice, the visual and concept of his beam breaking through the walls of the demon realm and uniting them all is good. Pansy waving Vegeta's arm was adorable, and the post-credits gag is very funny and classic Toriyama, a nice ending for a mixed show. Oh, whoops, I can't read and didn't answer the question. Honestly, I think all Dragon Ball endings fall in good but not great. Boo arc was almost great. Almost was great, but I don't like End of Z, so Daima just kind of falls in with the rest of them. I mean, yeah, I don't think that they've ever been classically great finales. It's kind of like, and then we stop. GT's tried something, but
yeah.
I really have a hard time being too critical of End of Z. We've talked about my own Oobtober project and whatever, but just the potential that exists in Goku going off on this new adventure with Oob has really grown on me over the years. And so I really, above all, I'd probably put End of Z number one.
I like the finale of Z, just how it's just Goku's passing the baton in a sense where like, anyone could be the hero. You could be the hero.
Well, that's what he's saying, but Vegeta knows what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, is it good for End of Z to be the fact that like, okay, we tried to go off once and we made GT, and then after that we're like, okay, put everything before that, because we can't go past that as like, oh, it's so good we don't want to ruin that ending? Or is it just really falling flat on the possibilities that exist after that? Because it's not really like, and we closed the book. It's kind of like, and we left the book open, and it could go anywhere from here. But
I kind of wish now, looking back, that instead of Daima, we got like a GT sequel. How wild would that have been? Just pick it back up from like, well, I guess from before Goku Jr. Like still, I guess before. Oh yeah, Goku quote unquote dies. Never mind. I don't know. Something to negate that. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it either. But it'd be way more interesting than Daima gave us.
Technically, Heroes Victory Mission is a sequel to GT, so you can just go read that.
Oh, I'll pass, but I'll take your word for it.
Strong Style Edge writes in and says, honestly, I'm not sure if the chaotic inconsistency led me down a path where I had to headcanon endings that would make things make sense, or if maybe my expectations were some form of consistency with later series installments, Super Sickos, but I was just left kind of confused by entertained. And I'm not sure exactly what the end of that sentence means, but
I think it's entertained.
Oh, maybe.
Confused but entertained.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Autocorrect's a bitch.
It gets you every time. So then we have Jason C., who says, I thought it was a great ending for the series. Lots of fun in the back half of the episode, and well as the final gag at the end, which was super well animated. Can't wait for the fusion bugs to be brought back for Kakarot DLC, right?
Oh,
For me, as far as finales go Z, then GT, Daima, Super, and then Dragon Ball. You know, before last year, I would have put GT pretty high, but after we did all that, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that was all that great. I'm sorry. I wish it was better, but
I really don't. I was thinking about rewatching all of these endings myself for this, and then we could discuss that, like we did when we started the show. Randy and I, we each went and watched all the first episodes of each different series. I just didn't have it in me. I'm a broken man, and I don't even know how I could place these, because obviously I think Z is top, but I have my issues with GT's ending. I have my issues with Super's ending. I have my issues with Daima's ending. And God knows if we're really dedicating ourselves to that last wedding dress episode, I have my issues with that. You keep
dedicating yourself to it. You do.
Yeah.
You could just go with the original incarnations of everything. So you do the manga. You know, how did the manga end? Well, that ended with End of Z. So that's just the one. And then you can do GT, and then you do Diamond. You can do Super's anime, even though the manga kept going. And also the anime didn't end because then we got movies. So as of right now, the ending for Super is Superhero, not the Tournament of Power and all that.
Movie 6 is the best ending because that means the movie was done and I don't watch it anymore.
SD writes in and says, as a massive fan of what you guys do, I wish you liked Daima more. I think so do we. Yeah. But I think you've always been fair with your criticism. I love the show, but the online discourse around it has been so negative, it makes me feel relieved it's over, LOL. I'm questioning if I'm an idiot for liking it as much as I did. You're not an idiot.
No.
I do feel sometimes like I watched a different show than some people.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be the final say on Toriyama.
No, not at all.
I would be pretty upset if it ends up being the case.
Much better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel you how when you're saying here that you love the show, but the online discourse around it has been so negative, it makes you feel relieved that it's over. You know, when we were starting and talking about Daima, I was enjoying it. I don't think Ken or Doug was as into it as I was. I was probably being a bit more, I don't know, forgiving, or if there was something else that I was seeing. Ken, you wanted to look.
I literally have no idea how I felt. On the Konzenshu podcast, I had to ask AJ how I felt about Daima because I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's been so long. I mean, it's just there's been so much stuff that has happened since, and then also our rewatch where we're like, you know what? Actually, this first chunk, that's good stuff. I like that. But towards the end, these last few weeks where we've been doing episodes, it's like, all right, Randy, are you doing okay? It's like, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm just sick of it. Like,
that's the thing. I hate it so much that I hated it, that I didn't like it. Nothing would make me happier than to enjoy this series. And it doesn't bring me joy to like bash on it. This just wasn't what it could have been. And it could have been so much more considering Toriyama had a hand in it and how much they toted that. And this wasn't what he deserved at the end.
So, I'm glad for you that it's over, that you don't have to deal with this. I'm glad for us that it's over and we don't really have to talk about it anymore. And I wish that, it was a bit more of a positive thing. We could all be like, gosh, what a great send off. You know, I feel like this was a really great 40th anniversary thing that, everybody came together and there was world peace for once, that all Dragon Ball fans found something to like. But, it's a bummer. And absolutely agree with Ken. You're not an idiot. You found something that you liked. And you're just as much a real Dragon Ball fan as the people who hated it or, were bummed out about it.
Yeah.
We're all just kind of built different.
We're just looking for different things in our stuff. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been very transparent that I am like crazy deep into the lore. I need to know what was going on 5 million years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, and over a millennia ago. That's the way I approach this series. And we all come at it in different ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, sorry that it's been a trip for you. I'm sorry it's been a trip for us. But, I'm glad that you, despite us possibly coloring your view of the show, you say that you're a fan of what we do and things like that. Thanks for sticking around,
Yeah. And I mean, I don't see the Spotify numbers really, but I can tell from YouTube people are tired of hearing about this show. And I'm
Whether
sure
that's about the show or us.
Or at least
Yeah.
from us, yeah.
Well, people will definitely, this will probably have more views than most of our Daima episodes. Same thing happened with GT, but just, people just kind of checked out. And
Yeah.
we've got a lot of ideas of stuff that's going to come next. You know, since Daima started, and even before then, we were keeping like a spreadsheet of new episode ideas. We will, I swear to God, we're revisiting movie 6. We'll get there.
It's going to happen.
I'm not going to let that go. We got Doug to read Super. We'll get movie 6 reevaluated here, but
We will do granola. And you know what? It's not something that I want to jump into right away, obviously, but this conversation, the skeet that you'd put out, how does the finale stack up against everything? In the future, I don't know, a year plus out, let's do that. Let's just take a look. We'll watch those last episodes of stuff and we'll talk about how that goes.
In a year, all my pre-orders for figures of Daima Relation are going to come, and I'm like, oh yeah, this series was good, right? Look how cool these characters look. And rose-tinted glasses, is that the expression?
Yeah, there you go.
Rose-tinted,
You got it.
box windows.
Oh, couldn't have put it better. So that's that. Thank you guys for that. And we're going to keep talking about stuff. It's just not going to be Daima. So get excited for what's
does
coming
that
around the
mean
corner.
We're done with Daima, so I can now, I can do this. Here, Ken, explain what I'm going to do right here.
Oh, Doug is removing the cover on his microphone. And it was previously orange, and now he has put his iconic blue microphone cover back on.
I put it on for Daima. I was excited for it, but now Daima's done. We're done with the orange. Back with the blue.
Yeah. What color will he pull out for granola? Who knows?
Oh, yeah, we got to pick out a color for that. I don't know. Maybe green?
I got to buy another. I only bought 2, guys. Chill.
Well,
Every week, come back and see what color Doug's going to use. I know. It's a bundle. It's a 2-pack bundle.
Ken and I will pick out a color and we'll buy it and we'll ship it to you and be like, this is what you
Wow,
got to put on
commitment.
for granola. For movie 6, I don't
Does
know.
that come out of my revenue for this year, for the show?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Oh, goodness. All right. So there's that. I have a bunch of emails, actually. How much of this do we want to go through, guys? I know that we didn't talk about it beforehand, and I didn't really look until just now. I mean,
All of them. People wrote in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it. How many
All right.
emails, truthfully?
okay. So we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3. We've got like a good 3. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Let's do these. All right. So, Doug, this is going to be it. This is the thing that you've been waiting for that we passed on last time.
The
Willis
bogus
DeYoung
questions.
bonus figure trivia for Doug. So be excited for that. That's going to be good. So here we go. Willis DeYoung coming in hot says, first off, I want to say that I didn't want to rush these because I wanted to give Doug decent questions.
Yes.
Same rules apply. Doug gives his answers first, and then Ken is more than welcome to join after Doug gives his answer. All questions are related to the SH Figuarts line.
Hell yeah. Let's
I know
go.
that you're worried it's like going to be Jax.
I know.
Like
I don't know. This back
he
my
says
element, baby.
I did my homework best I could, so if I got something incorrect, please file all complaints to vegerotex@kanzenchu.com.
That guy doesn't know Jack.
All right, question 1. What Star Dragon Ball is included with the Captain Ginyu figure? You have a 1 in 7 chance to get this one right.
I know.
You can't look. That's cheating. You gotta know it.
I was gonna guess the 4. I'll take the ding because I did look and confirm it is 4. But yeah,
I believe you when you say that you were just looking to confirm. I don't think you
no.
lied to my face like that.
that does feel cheating though that I looked to confirm. But yeah,
Doug, why do you think he comes with the 4-star ball?
because it's significant to Goku. I mean, he becomes Goku when he transforms. Nothing
And
besides that.
on that note, he was also the only publicly available of any of the Namek series, the Namek
Really?
Dragon Ball series that wasn't premium Bandai. Yeah.
Dude, that's even deeper lore into SH Figures than I knew.
Wow.
That's crazy. I need to add that to my cliff notes.
Your spreadsheets that you've got. All right. Question 2. As far as I know, there are only 2 ways to obtain Kinto-un. What are those 2 ways in the
That
SH
is
Figure Arts
the
line?
Kid Goku with the orange gi, and then there's the San Diego Comic Con or New York Comic Con exclusive Goku that comes with Gohan.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Get
I
him.
should have been waiting, but like, Ken rebuttal.
No, yeah. I knew he'd have this one.
Yeah.
Let's go. Keep going. Keep him coming all day.
All right.
Baby.
Question 3. Which character who participated in the fight against Vegeta and Nappa has yet to receive a proper figure?
Oh, a proper, I guess, Chaozu would be. He does have a figure, but not like proper his own. No. Wait,
Doug, let me give you.
Go ahead.
Take
go
a
ahead.
second shot.
Okay. So repeat the question for me one more time.
Which character who participated in the fight against Vegeta and Nappa has yet to receive a proper figure?
Really think about the vague wording used here, Doug.
Huh. It could be.
You don't have it? I got
Could be
it.
Gohan or Goku in their respective clothing.
Oh, Yajirobe.
He comes with the Wazaru Vegeta.
Proper figure.
I guess not a proper. You're right. But yeah, is that the answer, Randy? Does Ken get it?
Yep. Yajirobe being an accessory to Great Ape Vegeta doesn't qualify. Also, does blowing yourself up on Nappa's back count as participating in the fight?
But
Oh.
that figure does have, you can turn his head, so he does have articulation.
It has articulation. That counts as
Yeah.
proper to me. I don't want
Right,
another
but you
Dende. I don't want a Dende exclusive figure.
Whoa, what's wrong with Dende? You got a thing against greenies?
I mean, he comes with Purunga already, and he has his arm articulation. That's enough for me.
I said
But
it
yeah.
the one time and I felt bad about it. Anyway, Willa says, hope you found these enjoyable. If you'd like me
Yes.
to continue these on a semi-regular basis, please let me know. And
Yeah,
it
no
sounds like
rush.
that-
That's a wonderful surprise, Willis. Thank
Give
you.
Zenpai a week off.
Yeah, and give me a week on. I need the wins. Questions I know about. Oh my god.
Mhm. Now, this one's I'm going to throw up in the air because we have a follow-up email from Willis asking about Tenchi. Now, this is a Dragon Ball podcast, but we are on a break.
Stay in our lane, Willis.
Stay
Well, let's
in
just-
Is that what you're
our
saying?
lane.
You know, we're at the end of the episode. People here are along for the ride. So let's just give them, if they're not listening to Tenchi, let's just give them a little taste of the Tenchi.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I like
a taste of Tenchi. That's the restaurant I'm opening. by the way.
Whoa.
Oh.
I would eat there. That's
I'm
actually
looking
really good.
Yeah. All right. Tenchi general anime question. I figured your bonus episode would be a good place to start this conversation about Randy's favorite thing, OVAs. With the sad demise of physical media, can the anime industry survive without it? I know the US market is dramatically different than the Japanese market in terms of price and availability, but from what I understand, the anime studios gain back a good chunk of their investment in selling these products. Just curious if you guys had any thoughts coming from our generation of VHS tapes and DVDs and Blu-rays. I know I still purchase my anime on disc if the option is available. Also, I've never watched Tenchi, but I still tune in every week because I enjoy you guys talking about anime in general.
Oh.
All right. So not very Tenchi related, but these are good questions. I know that personally, I still buy a ton of anime on Blu-ray if
Yeah,
I can,
he does.
DVD if I have to. But you know, that's kind of my
I don't
thing.
because Randy does. Randy does for enough for all of us.
I've got shelves behind, and then the wall behind this that is like all of my general anime stuff. This is all just like the highlights, you know, sort of thing. You know, Dragon boxes.
The ones
and
you're not afraid to
French
show the
Blu-ray
public.
set.
The other ones you hide.
No, I'm not afraid to show that I've got like Gravitation over on the other shelf and things like that.
Uh-huh.
I own volume 1 of Gravitation, the manga. Fun fact.
That's interesting. You know, it's different now, I guess, because it's just not the main way you can get things. A lot of people just subscribe to Crunchyroll, and that's fine. You know, it's nice because the production side of things still get money from that. Whereas nowadays, you might not want to buy the discs. A lot of people just got rid of their players or forget that like they could just pop it in, you know, their PlayStation or Xbox if they've got the one with the disc drive.
Yeah.
But, you know,
It is interesting. We live in a world now where there's 3 methods of watching any series, like whether it's on like streaming service, if it's you own the physical disc, or it comes on naturally on cable TV or whatever. Like I miss the cable TV part. I don't get that much because you know I don't have cable TV or whatever, and it's something more special about like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is on right now. I'll watch that. Where I could just go to my DVD shelf and pop it in, but it's something more special about it being on TV.
Doug, check it out. There's a channel online called Retro Crush, and it'll give you that feeling again.
Really? It's just
Yeah.
all different kind of anime that's just kind of playing? Oh.
Usually they use Discotek's catalog. But
Right.
yeah.
That'd be
But
pretty
they've
cool.
got tons of stuff, and it just, you know, you can jump in and start a show in the middle or whatever and just be like, just get a taste. And then, of course, you can just go watch it elsewhere or buy it.
Miss
Or
that feeling.
Yeah, it's good. The last time I had cable to actually watch something, I subscribed to Sling TV, which was kind of just a online cable subscription, so you can just stream things to various stuff. And I did that when Fooly Cooly season 2 was airing on Toonami/Cartoon Network. So this would have been 2016, 2017. I can't remember when that was, but that was fun. I was like, oh yeah, this does feel like back in the old days of watching it and then, talking about it online with people. But I didn't stick with it. I didn't finish the show and I canceled the membership because I'm like, it's just, I've changed how I consume things. And, it's just weird to watch things on a schedule like that. I watch things on my own time. So it's just how that is. With Willis's question, with the sad demise of physical media, can the anime industry survive without it? I mean, yeah, they've got, their own other mechanisms. Like I said, they've got streamers like Crunchyroll and Amazon. And
you think they're making more money because of that? Since it's like they don't have to waste money on making physical stuff?
There's no way.
Really?
Which everything you hear about the state of the animation industry, there's no way. There's no way it was booming like it was in the 90s.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's kind of a bummer. I don't know what the heck's going to go on with physical media because there's still plenty of people that buy stuff. That we're getting announcements of, different 4K releases for movies that's like, I didn't think they'd ever bother with that, but we're getting it. And it's like just become its own small little like boutique thing, which is great. I just worry if that could be cut short because we keep having companies that announce like, oh, we're pulling out of making the disc players. So it's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do if I want to keep buying these discs and I can't just buy a machine to play it? That makes it a lot more difficult.
I'm not a pro if I own the PS5 Pro without the disc. Come on.
You got to buy it extra like I did and slap that puppy on there. And now you can watch your 4Ks that way.
To me, there is something special about the feeling of putting a disc into a player and going into the menu that it has for you. I don't like watching anime on streaming services. I don't prefer opening up an MKV on my computer if I were to ever do something like that, allegedly and all that stuff. But I definitely prefer physical if I can. Tenchi. But yeah.
I will say I do kind of enjoy streaming the stuff, especially for me. I've got my Plex server and I love that thing. I'm ripping my own discs, or if somebody's already done the work and it's a thing I own, I grab it and I'll just throw it on there.
Right.
But it is a different sensation putting a disc in. But for Plex, it's cool because I get to pick the box art. I get to pick, all of the thumbnails and things like that. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll just go through sometimes like, what? I'm kind of feeling I want to do a different feel for like this show. And I'll go in and I'll take a look and see what people have made or make my own posters for things. And that's exciting. That adds its own thing. But yeah, there's definitely a different tactile feel without the actual physical thing. And generally, if you're buying it physical, you've got the best quality version that you can get, because streaming, you're going to have compression because, they don't want to have 80 gigabit file for just 6 episodes of a show. So they're cutting it down. You're losing out on some quality, some detail there. So I would say if you don't have a physical media collection yet, start now. Go buy something, So you're going to have a good time, and maybe you'll start the whole avalanche and it'll come back in a big way, or, whatever. People will continue to make players and make discs and all that. But Willis, excellent question. Really good stuff. Definitely bigger than just one little thing at the end of this podcast, but you got to go watch Tenchi. Go do that and catch up with us. We're only, one quote unquote season for OVAs, as you can be into that. So you've got that. And we've got more coming up. Ken, did you announce what we're doing yet?
Yeah. So on April 1st, I believe, and this is not a joke, we will be...
Not a joke.
We don't do jokes here.
Live, that's for sure. We will be doing our first live episode where we will be, I think we're doing the Mihoshi special. We'll have stuff on Blue Sky about it when we're coming up on it.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that live. You will be able to communicate with us during the show via super chats, and then of course we will jump to regular chat. We'll go back to like taking our normal break, and then kind of interact with chat for a little bit, and then go back into the end of the episode, and then finish it off. So that will begin on April 1st, and then that episode will of course still come out 8 days later. So we'll have the Dragon Ball episode, then Tenchi, Dragon Ball, Tenchi, Dragon Ball, Tenchi.
Yep. And that's not going to be the only place you can experience it. If you prefer to just listen, there will be an audio version. We'll put that out the same time that normally would come out
But
on the off week. But
the
it won't be edited.
Yeah, the only way that this is happening is that those Tenchi episodes are going to have minimal, at best, editing. And that's going to be like if one of us says something that really needs to come out of it, then that'll get cut out. But other than that, yeah, you are going to be getting direct feed from Discord, and probably the first couple recordings, our audio levels might be a little iffy because I will really be relying on chat to kind of be like, hey, Doug's too quiet, or you're too loud, or whatever like that.
Sorry.
So, yeah. So it's not going to be as polished of a product as this, but it will still be available on wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you don't like how it sounds, you don't have to listen. We're not making you. But the Dragon Ball episodes are not changing. This is our bread and butter, and we want this
we're
to
making
be...
you listen to those. We're watching you.
Yeah,
We're like Funimation.
Exactly.
You should be watching.
Funimation doesn't exist anymore, Doug.
Well, they're still fun to me.
That's fair. You know what else is fun or fan is Lily P, who, this is our last email here, Dragon Ball fan. Hey, I started listening to your podcast recently, and I love it. You guys really make me laugh. I have liked Dragon Ball since I was about 6 years old, and I only knew of Dragon Ball Super back then. But now I'm 13, and I'm the ultimate fan. Hey,
Yay.
Everybody's 13 sometime, Ken.
Yeah,
Don't laugh.
That's true.
Sometimes twice.
Sometimes, yeah.
I won't elaborate.
Would have been, it's whatever.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
24 years ago.
I got the books, figures, I watched the movies and the series from the OG and all the rest. Not many of my friends watch it. And when I listen to this podcast, I feel like I'm talking about it with people I relate to. Thanks for making me feel like I'm not the only one.
I've heard stories of people saying like they feel alone, that especially with the fandom, like, in real life, you don't have that friend. So I'm glad that we can be there for you for that. Like, please, anytime you want to email or whatever, hit us up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen.
We're just lucky because we got each other. We've got, other friends that we've made over the decades, which you'll be there too when you get old and get creaky and old and angry like we are.
I mean, yeah, I it's so touching that you do listen to us, because I know when I was your age, I would not want to hear what a bunch of cranky old men had to say about something I liked.
I wouldn't tune into a podcast what my dad and his friends talk about.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was listening to Daizenshu EX, the podcast, Mike's not that much older.
No. Right.
So it was just a cranky, slightly older than me person.
Oh, exactly. So again, thank you guys for emailing all that stuff in. We really appreciate it. And also for the skeets, some people telling us what they
still can't
thought.
take you seriously when you say that. Every time you say it so natural, as if it's just a regular thing.
It is just a regular thing. Just like the regular thing is to do Zenpai trivia.
No! I thought we were done with trivia. I won.
You won
the figure
bonus. No, you've got 3 questions here from Zenpai, who sent this in today, and I'll keep it quick. I saw Ken just turn to look, I assume, at the time to be like, am I free of this yet? Sorry. It's extra long. We only talked about one episode of Daima. What do you want from me? Here we go. Question number 1. How long is the post-credit scene in the final episode? Oh, we have exactly a minute and second thing here. So, post-credits.
Well, you're saying more than a minute, so...
2 minutes and 16 seconds.
I'm going to say a minute 58.
Oh, Doug, I was really hoping you were going to do the Price is Right jerk move of being like just 1 second higher.
I do that every time.
Okay, well, Ken wins because it's 2 minutes, 20 seconds. He was only off by 4 seconds.
Nice.
So how much fade to black are we counting? You know?
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Fading in and fading
take all
out.
those out. We're over.
We did it.
We didn't talk about how cool those pictures were, though. Like, some of them, they're all, mid-transforming back into their adult forms again. And just something about Chi-Chi mid-doing dishes and just,
yeah, on the stool, oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an adult again.
It's really funny.
We should have had Gohan and Videl just whoa.
Did we get them at all in this series,
Nope.
actually, now thinking about it?
In the opening recap thing, when it's the shot of everybody, Gohan is there in the background.
We're not really sure that's Gohan. They don't ever say it is, so...
Well, Goku is next to him, and he is wearing clothing similar to Gohan.
What the mentality of that is. It's got to be intentional at that point.
So, I can't remember who, but on the Kanzenshu Discord, somebody had brought up that at one point, Masuko Nozawa had asked in a different project to reduce, was it Goten or Gohan's inclusion in something, just so that she can not be so burnt out on doing the job.
It's future Trunks, I think.
Okay. I mean, Goten had one line as a baby.
Yeah.
But it's, it's like we can't include Gohan because at this point he would have been the strongest before we add in like, oh, we've actually got Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4.
Now we need a Gohan spin-off series.
That's true. All right, so next one. After Goku grows back, something changes in the relationship between him and Glorio. What is it?
Yeah, he gets his name right.
He stops, saying his name correctly.
Not just that. There's more to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He starts treating him more formally, even using Keigo, the Japanese Masu form, honorifics.
How could I have possibly forgotten that?
Look, Senpai
Don't
knows what he knows. He does. I Skoshi wa karimasu. I know a little bit.
Okay,
So, question 3. What is Pansy eating in the ride back to the shop?
She's eating something?
She eating those dango?
No.
The Dorias?
No.
The backwards chips?
I'm going to say you're correct because it's chips or crisps if you're British. So
the ones that the Ginyu Force gave to Goku?
Yeah. All the kana is backwards on the bag.
Cool. But yeah.
Chips it's just the ways of that universe.
Yeah. Get your damn hands off my Let's. So yeah, chips or crisps if you are Goku Black Rose.
To explain this, Let's are what they're called in different countries, right?
No, this is a community joke.
I knew it was community.
Okay.
That's their brand of chips, which is also just like a brand that is used for just brand-free usage for a bunch of different shows because it's just prop you can buy for television production. Keep your eyes out. Lots of shows have Let's.
I need a Leonard review of Let's chips.
You're talking about it. Anyway, thanks for listening. We love interacting with you and keeping you in the conversation, talking about our favorite franchise in the world, despite what Daima has done to us.
Right.
Still our favorite.
It's because we love it so much.
Exactly. You can post at us on our Blue Sky. We're keeping it easy at wegottapodcast.com. That's all it is there.
Yeah, super easy, huh?
Shut up, Doug. I'm an old, tired man. And you can email us at wegottapod@gmail.com.
And thank you to Rifti Beats for letting us use this track, Kakarot Theme Hip Hop Trap Remix. You can find that track and other great music by Rifti on his SoundCloud. Ken, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at detectivex.bsky.social.
And Randy?
You can find me at saberbreaker.wegottapodcast.com over on the Bisky. What about you, Doug?
And I'm Jabaz Doug.
This brings us to the end of the episode, the end of Daima. Forever on this podcast. Of course, Randy and I will at some point head over to Kanzenshu, invade Mike's world, and talk about the Kakarot DLC. Unless Doug wants to catch up, he's got some time. He could join us.
I've been trying to play Kakarot so many times. Hey, I've got time. You never know.
You got time.
In my new place, I'll have more room. I can actually access my PS5 without stepping over figures.
I mean, I know Mike doesn't want to edit another audio track, but I don't know if he could pass up all three of us coming to talk
He'll
about
make an
this.
exception for me.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Here's what we do. Once we're done with Tenchi, for our bonus episodes, we'll do live ones, but it's going to be Doug Twitch streaming his playthrough Kakarot, and the two of us are going to be there talking along with them.
That'd be pretty fun. Not going to lie.
We'll see. I can't imagine how many technical issues we'll run into that.
That's part of it, baby. That's part of the enjoyment.
We'll figure it
Anyways, if you enjoy the idea of something like that happening, make sure to tell your friends about it. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all of that kind of stuff. And if you're at the end of this episode, at the end of our Daima coverage, thank you for taking this journey with us. We're only going to talk about stuff we want to talk about now. And so if we've been too negative for you, that's going away. Until maybe granola, but we'll see. We'll see.
Who?
I'll make Doug like it if he doesn't. And on that note, I guess we will catch you matinator.
Bye.